appreciative. Well, years later, of course, Russell would claim that he's captured a UFO on film. Unfortunately, he had mistaken a light on a mast of a ship passing in a channel behind his house. But he knew about my discovery of the number 7 and how it's blessed more than all things under heaven, and it actually proves the existence of God, which is on my Facebook and my PowerPoint. And the next thing you know, here he is with a website, and he's got all these 7s. And sure enough, in his very next movie, 3:10 to Yuma, look at all the 7s that are in there. It's so funny. And yet, it may or may not have anything to do with me, but it was interesting that I was able to pass off my UFO story to Mr. Crow. He was a great guy,
just like my show, I didn't realize who my listeners out there were. When I started, just a little bit about you. I've been retired for several years. I got out of radio, maybe 10, 12 years ago, did other things, then I retired. But I was in radio off and on since 1976. One of my friends was Art Bell. Now, we weren't a good friend, but we would, every so often, like once a month, every 2-3 months, we would call each other and talk or send a text now and then. He's the one that got me back into radio. I was bored, and he called me up one day and he asked me, "Hey, you going to come back on your Harley and stop by?" And I go, "No, my health, I don't want to ride that far, this year." And he goes, "Well, get back into radio." And I go, "I don't want to do terrestrial radio. I just don't like, worrying from day to day if you have a job." And he goes, "No, do what I did before I got out of it. Go on to the internet radio." And I sat there, honestly, for about a week going on I didn't even listen to internet radio at all. A little bit of satellite radio, but I went and started listening to all these paranormal shows on the internet. Some were good. Some of them sounded like they were being done on a kitchen table. They were uneducated. They didn't even know it. Doing damage when they thought they were doing good. They were doing damage to the paranormal because they didn't know what they were talking about. Or all mystics on. I don't know. And I kind of like, and then he called me back and I said, I think I will do it, but I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And the first maybe 10 months, I really sucked at it because I was out of radio for a long time. It's only been like the last month or so it kind of like clicked again, like when I used to be doing talk radio years ago. But all of a sudden I started like Michael Caine, John Close, and all these people, started messaging me, saying that, they're listening to my show, out of the UK and all this stuff, and they love it, what I'm doing. I got a big audience. Probably 40% of my 170-some thousand people listen and download my show are out of the UK. What's that tell you? I mean, Is
that how many people are listening to us right now?
Yeah, well, listening, and mostly it's going to be downloads and then on-demand plays. But that's how many play my show on average per day. And I remember when I first started, I had like 15 people, listening to me. And I was really depressed, and Art Bell would say, "Hey, give it a couple months." And then all of a sudden I was up to a couple thousand. And then all of a sudden it just, maybe it's the guest I've had on, it just gone crazy and it's growing like mad. But when I started finding out Michael Caine is listening and John did my intro, he was...
Did you say Michael Caine as in the actor?
Oh, yes. He's a big fan of my show. And
I'm a big fan of Michael.
Yeah, well, so am I. And John Clace, and I always pronounce his name wrong. But, he's a big fan. And, he started messaging me. And then all of a sudden, he's filming a TV show out of London for ABC TV. And, he, contacted me and we were talking and he was telling me how he liked my show. And he goes, "Hey, do you want a new intro for your show? Because your intro really sucks." Well, that's how I got it. We did it right over the phone and, like 1 or 2 takes and there it was. I mean, it's funny, I'm trying to get the word out, like, about UFOs, Bigfoot, things all paranormal. And I know
that is a worthy mission, Mr. Anderson, and the universe is counting on you.
Well, thank you. I don't hype it up, I don't, how can I say it? I do this, I put it this way. I have had a couple major corporations want to take my show national. And, they sent me the contract. And then when I looked at the contract, I would have to give up basically my show. I would have to run the show like when I was doing it commercially. I like doing it the way I have now. I'm on a one-man show with a lady. It comes in and helps me a few hours each week for bookings. I'm happy. And, no one tells me what to do. At the beginning, I had a couple advertisers, and all of a sudden they started demanding well, you can't have this. If you want me to have my shave company or whatever on your show, you can't have this guest on. You can't do this. You can't do that. You have to do this. And you know what? I decided I don't want no more advertising, and that was the end of it, because no one is going to dictate to me how I can run my show or what guest I have on.
I think it's actually a good move. I mean, that's why I don't have advertisements for donations on my website or any of my stuff, because I want the public to know that this is a humanistic event that's coming from the ground level, which is what it's going to take, because the military, the government, isn't going to have disclosure. So it has to come from the people, because when it's from the people, that's when it really sticks and starts to change the world.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Talking about, movies and stuff, I wrote my book and sent it off to a producer in Hollywood, Regina Lee, who loved it and said I should have it made into a big budget movie with the hook. The Day After Tomorrow, but with aliens. It's a movie with Dennis Quaid about Earth changes in the end of the world. Only aliens are coming to save the world. Now, the first half of my book, which is fiction, I write about an Indian warrior named Walken who gets willingly abducted by aliens who purposely design this giant face in El Cajon Mountain, which, by the way, is surrounded by a perfect circle. And they claim to him that we're going to send you back, and in the future you're going to be reincarnated, and we're counting on you to help save the world. Well, that's where the second half of my book goes into my true story, and how at 10 years old I solved my first UFO mystery, Gary. I came home from my parochial school, and on the kitchen table my dad had left a newspaper with a picture of a UFO and a caption. And, I was into Star Trek and Outer Limits and Twilight Zone. And so I kept that article. 2 days later, I come back from school, and there that same picture is on the kitchen table, only this time it's turned upside down, and it is the top of a car in a flood. So I went to my room, I got the other article, and I matched them, and it was the exact same picture turned upside down. Well, you know what? I kept those two articles for years because it was my little secret that I had solved this UFO mystery that was a hoax. And here I am decades later involved with a real UFO mystery, and I'm doing my best to share it with all of mankind to the best of my ability. So that's why I appreciate you having me on your show, Gary. And I plan on listening to your show from now on. I didn't even know about it until I contacted you.
Well, like I said, maybe some of our emails back and forth in Texas, a lot of times I hate to say it, I'm doing other things, and I use, my cell phone to send out messages. I use voice, and it comes out a little bit different than what it should be. So I apologize for that. Now, if your book is, well, first thing, why don't you tell everybody how they can get to your website, and then again, where they can find your book and all that information before, we let you go.
Right. Well, if you want to Google me, it's Mike Orrell, Orrell. It'll take you to my website and a few of my front page articles in the Union Tribune. But my website, at the very top of it, there's a link to my historic 12-minute YouTube video, where it's the first time, I made it in 2010, where I showed the evidence of how I linked UFOs to each other as well as to ancient artifacts. Now, recently, I just posted over 260 pages of my PowerPoint presentation on my Facebook page. So if you have a Facebook account, it's open to the public under Michael Orrell, Orrell, and I went to Helix High. And you'll be able to find it, as well as a bunch of other metaphysical musings, as well as some of my photography from Over the Line and Comic Con, because I am a native San Diegan, and I'm very proud of the events that we've originated here in San Diego, as well as the fact that I'm trying to get national attention for the world's largest natural rock face, which we have on a very popular mountain that people already know about. When I made the front page of the Daily Californian in 1992, hundreds of people wrote in that they never knew about the face on the mountain, and the other people, hundreds, wrote, well, everybody knows about the old man in the mountain. Well, nobody told me. And this mountain you can see from dozens of miles away, and it should be a huge tourist attraction, let alone San Diego's signature landmark, which we do not have. And this giant face, which I've named Ori, after my World War I naval air pilot grandfather, it's linked to the biggest UFO event, I believe, ever in the history of ufology. And you got a simple man who's claiming to have solved the UFO, Nazca Line, and crop circle mystery, and it's all on my Facebook page. Now, if that doesn't spark somebody's interest to go have a look to see who this kook is and decide for themselves, then nothing will. This is it. This is disclosure. And it's coming from the population, which is how it had to happen. That's why this is a big event, Gary. That's why I appreciate you giving me the time of day to share this, because that's part of my obligation for the universe for keeping me alive. Because who knows? You know, tomorrow's not guaranteed for anybody. And I'm not about to die with this on my shoulders when I think this can save mankind literally from a catastrophic event that's literally in the Bible. You know, islands will disappear and mountains will be moved from their place. There's only one way that's going to happen, and it's just like Edgar Cayce said. There's going to be a shift of our magnetic poles that's going to happen in the blink of an eye, and 500-mile-an-hour winds, they're going to level everything on the planet.
And that's what's scary.
That's happened before.
Yeah. Hey,
we need to get off the planet.
Yeah, we need to. Hey, our time is up. Hey, Michael, I just want to say,
but I'm not done.
But my time limit is gone. But maybe we can get you on. We can get you on maybe in a month or so again, and we'll go for another hour or something.
Count me in. This has been a lot of fun, Gary. I really appreciate that.
Okay, you have a great week, and better yet, have a great night.
You too, sir.
Okay, night. Wow, that was heavy for a Tuesday for me. Anyway, again, this Friday coming up, we have a great guest. Well, you know what we got is a group of, ghost hunters on our show on Friday. And that is going to be really good, and we're going to be talking naturally about ghost hunting. But the last half an hour of the show, people, you can call in at 1-253-203-6695. That's 1-253-203-6695, and tell us a scary story. We're going to be doing this actually all the way up to Halloween, each Friday, the last half an hour. Now, you know, besides just calling us up, the best scary story of that Friday night will win a gift. Now, the grand prize at the end of September for the scariest story is going to be a real nice recorder capable of going out ghost hunting. I mean, this thing is really, really awesome. And that's compliments from Night Dreams Talk Radio to the winner. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Boy, this tonight went kind of fast. I want to thank you. And make sure you hit share on whatever app you listen on to. Click on follow. And tell your friends about Night Dreams Talk Radio. You know, let's get this thing going. I was hit to the 200,000 mark of listeners and people who download. A lot of truckers, you know, listen to our show. They record it and then, you know, download it, I should say, and then play it while they're out making the long haul. Big audience, like I said, out of the UK. They download the show right now, and then because of the time difference, they listen to the show. And I want to thank everybody out in the UK and Australia that's listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. So, What can I say? But have a good evening.